We're now looking at the My Bedroom 2014 with WBS in place. This is currently using the default values given to us by project. So we've simply inserted the column into our view. We can see the column, and Microsoft Project has given a WBS code based on the hierarchical breakdown of our project. Now, as we mentioned earlier, inserting a task using the default system, as we have here, unfortunately renumbers the WBS. And that's not really ideal. That's not what we want to occur, because then we'd have to re-reference all of our external documentation. Let's delete that task. If, however, we use our own WBS system, you'll find that we can insert tasks and they don't renumber the remaining tasks. So how do we insert and use our own WBS system? Well, we go to the project ribbon, come down to WBS, and define the code. Now, the top box here, code preview, is disabled because that's where the code will be previewed and we'll be able to see it building. First thing is a requirement for a project code prefix. Well, because this is my bedroom, I'm going to call it MB for my bedroom. We then need to define what the format is for the numbers or letters we can use at each level of the breakdown. So I only really need to define the levels that I have within my current project. So at the first level, I need to click in and decide what will the first level's system be like. Will it be numbers that are in order? Will it be uppercase letters in order, so A to Z? Lowercase letters, again in order, so A to Z? Or defined characters of my own? That's not really a very good system. We're going to go with one of these three. So let's stick with uppercase letters in order. So my first grouping will be A, the second grouping will be B, the third grouping will be C. Now I can control how many characters I'm allowing that part of the code to use. So if I think I will have more than 26 levels of this first level, so that's more than 26 project summary tasks, then I need to define this as a 2 or 3 or 4. Well, I know that I'm nowhere going to have 26, so I'm going to define this as 1, which means I'll get an A, a B, a C, a D, and it'll go to Z. And that will be as much as it can go, because there's only 26 letters in the alphabet, and only allowing it to use one of each gives me 26 options. I can then define the separator that will separate it from the project code prefix, so from the MB. Because at the moment, you can see MBA, which is the MB prefix plus the first letter here. I'd like a little hyphen. I then need to define the second level. I'm going to put those as numbered. And again, I can define how many numbers I'm allowing it to use, so how many digits. This time a single character will allow me a variance of 10. That potentially might not be enough with some of these subtasks. So I could go to 2, which will allow me 99. That should be enough. Or I could say any and just allow project to use as many as it requires. But if I stick with 2, then it will be a fixed width of 2. And again, what separator would I like? I'm going to go with the hyphen. Now, I don't think I need to define a third level. I don't think any of my tasks have subtasks. So I'm going to say OK and see what happens. And we see our system gets defined. So MB is at the very top level, that's 0, that's our project summary task. MBA for empty room, MBB, prep room, MBC for furniture. So you can see it's using first letter in the alphabet after the MB, then the second letter, then the third letter. The subtasks become MBA 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, because I defined 2 characters. So it will always have 2 characters there, even if it doesn't need 2 characters. So even though it's only 1, it puts 01. And I see that that works. We go to 10, we go to 7, we go to 3. So a very small project really works quite well with this numbering system. If you've got subsections within sections, you would potentially need to go to your WBS and define a 3rd level and a 4th level and maybe even a 5th level. So you're telling it what to display like, and the options are numbers, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, or characters. How many maximum characters it can use. So I'm saying 2 for the numbers, so that will allow me to go to 99, but 1 for the first level grouping, which will only allow me to go to 26, and then the separators to use after each of those grouping levels. Okay. Now we said the drawback of using the default numbering was that you couldn't insert another task without it renumbering the WBS code. Now that you've defined your own, if I were to insert another task in between two tasks, you can see that it actually picks up the next number in the sequence. So these ones, 5, 6, and 7, are still MBA-05, MBA-06, and MBA-07. The new task, despite the fact it was inserted between two other tasks, picks up the next numerical value in the sequence, which is MBA-08, despite the fact within project it is task ID 6, and despite the fact that I'm likely to make it occur somewhere between other tasks. So I'm going to say it's got to follow on from 3, and 5 must follow on from 5, 6. So its chronological sequence is in about here. Test poll, 1 hour. But its WBS code is added to the end of the current codes. The reason for that is you may already have created the documentation for MBA-01 to MBA-07, and now we can just add in another paragraph for MBA-08 to explain what testing the poll requires or needs, or its health and safety legislation in testing a poll. What it does mean, however, is that your codes are now out of sequence within the actual project, although in your documentation you will probably list them in alphabetical numerical order. If you haven't actually created your documentation yet, you can ask Microsoft Project to renumber the WS coding. So if you've set the WS up and then you actually move tasks around or you insert new tasks and the numbering doesn't look quite as neat and tidy, you can ask Project to renumber. So we go to WS drop down on the project ribbon and there's a renumber option. So we choose renumber and you can renumber the entire project, or if we'd selected a few tasks it would just renumber those. So if I know the only renumber that needs to take place really in this section, the MBA section, then I could just highlight those tasks, go to WBS, renumber, and say just the selected tasks. Okay, are you really sure? I am. And you see that they now get renumbered, so they go from top to bottom. So my test poll is now renumbered to 5. Now that's a very useful little utility, but also a little dangerous if you try to do it after the documentation has been created and there are references to those WBS codes. But that's why you saw there was an "are you sure that you want to carry this out?" So there is that little stop in project to say, are you really sure? Because it knows that it is a big thing to do. So that's the WBS codes in action, creating your own, defining your own, and even renumbering the system if you haven't created that external documentation as yet.